Coming up on Focal Point.
At the beginning of the spring semester, some students got word that their classes would be held right here in Berkey Hall, even though it stood closed for the past 2 semesters. Find out how students are dealing with this news coming up.
Michigan State University Police has a lot of staff members, but this one likes whipped cream a little bit more than the next.
A Lansing historical building built around this 100-year-old train car gets a makeover. Over. We have all this and more. Focal Point starts right now.
Good morning and welcome back to Focal Point News. I'm Callie Neese.
And I'm Sarah Polis. This is our second show of the semester, and we have just about everything for you today. News, weather, sports, and a Hollywood heartthrob.
Today is February 9th, 2024, and we start off today with a newspaper making news.
The State News, the independently run college newspaper covering Michigan State, is suing the university. I talked to its editor-in-chief, Morgan Womack, about what went into that decision.
The State News is suing Michigan State University over a violation of the Freedom of Information Act.
To conduct our investigations and do reporting, we were looking for people who have been reported to the Title IX office, investigated by the Title IX office more than once.
Morgan Womack, the editor-in-chief of the State News, says that they filed an appeal, but MSU's president, Teresa Woodruff, declined.
The reason that MSU declined our appeal was because they disagreed with our reporting and they disagreed with the fact that we do need these names to conduct our investigations.
Though MSU wouldn't give out the names of the people investigated, they had no problem handing out the information about the faculty.
The university got back to me and they say that at this time they have no comment and that they have not been filed with a lawsuit.
Public records, you definitely need to have access to them, and the university blocking us in this way is, we want to show that we want these records, we need these records for our investigations.
In the recent months, MSU has dealt with the ongoing Larry Nassar case, as well as former football coach Mel Tucker, who was fired for violating Title IX.
I think it's an important step in transparency for MSU, and I think it's public record, and denying access to that, citing that it's private information, just isn't accurate. That's kind of why we're suing.
The State News has their own attorneys representing them in this lawsuit, as they are not funded by the university. I'm Sarah Polis, Focal Point News.
We'll have more information on the lawsuit in the coming weeks.
We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the deadly shooting here on Michigan State's campus. Focal Point's Mackenzie Decker is live inside Berkey Hall this morning, which is one of the 2 buildings where the shooter entered, killing 3 students and injuring 5 others. Mackenzie, we talked earlier this week about some students feeling uneasy to going back to class in Berkey Hall, but both Berkey and the Union are open now. Is that correct?
That's right. The Union reopened its doors 2 semesters ago, and now it's Berkey's turn. This comes just under 1 year since a mass shooting took place right here. And now classes are back in session. I spoke to students about how they're feeling upon their return to an all too familiar place.
Nerve-wracking beyond all else.
Cassidy Howard is used to walking to class. What she's not used to is walking to class here. It's been 11 months since tragedy visited Berkey Hall. 2 students were killed in a mass shooting here. 1 student was shot just 2 buildings away at the MSU Union.
This is the club that nobody wants to be a part of.
And for Cassidy, just returning to campus has been difficult.
It's been a lot of work to trust people, to trust the campus after what happened. And being in here, it's just a place where that foundation of trust just isn't there.
Cassidy finds herself walking to the very building where the shooting started every Monday and Wednesday morning.
I wasn't in a position where I could drop the class, and I just absolutely dreaded it.
In this building that serves as a reminder of loss and heartbreak.
The end goal is not for them to close Berkey, but it's for people to choose when and if they are able to return to Berkey.
Although walking through these doors has been difficult for students like Cassidy, they say they're taking this space as an opportunity to heal.
I think that being in this building is a really big and important step to that, as absolutely terrifying as it is.
Not being able to come back here is kind of a constant reminder. So I think reclaiming the space is just a sign that people have moved past what happened or are making an attempt to.
This tragedy affected 50,000 students here differently. And as they approach the 1-year anniversary, students are healing their own way.
Whatever your pace may be, if you're ready now, if you're not ever ready, that's okay.
I hope that your specific class is able and willing to make arrangements if you don't feel comfortable coming back.
With added safety features and puppy love,
If you're here during this week, come pet a dog.
students are working to bring newfound hope to this corner of campus.
The silver lining is the fact that we're in this building and these blinds aren't pulled shut anymore. The last hallway that 2 of our classmates walked can be walked again. I hope that one day we're able to make it a symbol of, it was really hard going back in there, but we did it. And if we did that, we can do anything.
Classes have been back in session for a little over 1 month now. Cassidy said that it's important for her to begin reclaiming this space while also remembering the names of the 3 victims, Brian, Ariel, and Alexandria. Callie, Sarah, I'm live inside of Berkey Hall, sending it back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Mackenzie. As the anniversary of the tragedy approaches, we would like to look back on how we have been impacted from that day. Join us on February 16th for a show dedicated to people and their stories this past year.
The Michigan State Police Department protects what is basically a city of 50,000 students. It has over 65 officers and a civilian staff of over 40. They're expanding, and I met with the staff this week, and they introduced me to their newest member to their team.
He is just certified in being a good boy.
He's the newest member of the MSU's police department.
I call it Derpy because he's just like, hello, hello, and just so happy.
He only goes by one name.
Can River come in and say hi?
And he has a new desk, but he doesn't sit at it. He tends to sit under it.
Trimmed your paws yesterday and you're still sliding.
River is the police department's newest therapy dog.
My goal is for any time that he can be like a bridge positive interaction with the police department.
Lieutenant Kim Pavarian has a lot of duties at the department. She works with community outreach, she acts as security at campus events, and now she makes sure she has his lamb chop.
Well, he's just the life of the party for sure. Good.
And really, River's main job is to make people smile.
He's very excited.
Before getting his job with the police, River had to go through training with a group called Paws for a Cause, a national organization that trains dogs to help people.
He always likes to have something in his mouth, especially when he gets excited. Sometimes that's gloves from our friends that we meet on campus because of the weather. So we're working on that a little bit so he's not stealing people's gloves.
If you can't find River out on campus at an event, you can probably find him here. But if you can't find him here either, pick up one of his trading cards. Even though he's new to the department, he's fitting in well. Always saying hi to fellow coworkers.
Yeah. Do you want your lammy?
Even sharing his lammy. You can always pick up a River trading card from Lieutenant Pavarian or see River at events all over campus.
I'm definitely going to have to go meet River now.
He's a really sweet boy.
Coming up after the break, we'll have Zoe Ruffin live with this week's weather forecast. Get ready to find out what size jacket you'll be wearing throughout the week. And beanie. Will you be wearing Birks or Uggs? All those vital questions will be answered.
And have you ever had dinner on a train? The new twist's coming to one of Lansing's most historic restaurants, and a Hollywood movie star makes an appearance in East Lansing. We'll be right back. Point News. Last week, Punxsutawney Phil predicted there would be an early spring, and it sure has felt like it. But how long will this weather last?
Zoe Ruffin is live at the weather wall. Zoe, what can we expect this week?
You can expect some outdoor fun, that's for sure. Have you ever experienced an outdoor concert in February? Global Village was downtown Lansing this past weekend on stage for the kickoff of the annual Winterfest, Snow and Awe. Well, maybe no snow, just ice, sculptures. The temperatures were perfect for families to enjoy some activities while also sipping on hot chocolate and snacking on s'mores. And this weekend, the weather will be even better, just in time for the bird crawl. It should be a great time, even if there will be a little less bird. We did have some light rain last night, but we are having a nicer weather today. Dallas, New Orleans, and Florida are sitting nicely in the 70s. As you may have heard, California is experiencing heavy rain and flooding with temperatures in the 50s. Closer to home, surprisingly, our temperatures here in Detroit and Indianapolis are higher than the West Coast, with Chicago and Grand Rapids not too far below. In fact, here in Lansing, we are about 10 inches below average for snowfall this time of year. I know you probably are enjoying the high of 54 today, but soak it up now, because for the next 7 days, things will be cooling down back with the high 30s next week. So maybe go outside and take a walk or even a jog while you still can. That's all for this week's weather report. Back to you, Callie and Sarah.
Thanks so much for that, Zoe. Did you know the restaurant where the famous MSU alumni Magic Johnson signed his first NBA contract is in Lansing? Well, Focal Point's Tiana Barnes visited that restaurant and tells us there's a lot more history than just magic.
You always want to have your first impression be the best.
Matt Buscard's life is about making good first impressions.
It's always something fun.
And he's in the middle of making another one.
You know, whether that's, serving people food or it's going on a date. You know, you always want people to be like, oh, wow, that was great. Oh, wow.
This is what he's making great. Not only is it a new restaurant in downtown Lansing.
I'm the owner of Bob Cavani's, yeah.
It's a place that will be serving up history.
When we walked in, we were like, okay, this is really special. Let's conserve some of this.
It used to be Clara's, the restaurant with pieces of iconic Michigan history.
So then this was a booth that was here when it was Clara's. The story behind it was that Magic Johnson signed his first contract.
Keeping the integrity of this historical building was at the top of Matt's list when thinking about transforming Clara's into Bobcat Bonnie's.
This is the original stained glass. We came in and kind of gussied it up a little bit, which was exciting.
Matt and his team knew that there were fond memories and warm fuzzies for the community surrounding this space.
Because I always hate going into places and they just completely rip everything out and take all the heart and soul of these great historic places.
And their attention to historical detail wasn't lost on Kathy Dimoff.
Well, I'm very impressed with the way that they kept the historical value with the high ceilings and the woodwork and the train.
Bobcat Bonnie's and its unique rotation of menu and drink items might be new to Lansing, but what isn't is this train car that has sat here for over 100 years. And it's part of the dining experience.
Are we okay sitting in the train car tonight?
Just like the view from your table.
Hi, welcome. We are opening today.
It's really exciting to be able to take over spaces, to have more of a story.
It's not every day that you can have a burger while sitting on the rails, and Matt wants to make sure that when you do that, you feel like family.
We want everybody to feel welcomed.
Tiana Barnes, Focal Point News.
Bobcat Bonnie's offers brunch, brunchy lunch, and dinner menus for every part of the day.
It was a mixed bag in Michigan State sports this week. Some wins, some losses, but all exciting as always. Jenna Hummel is live in the newsroom with all the updates. Jenna?
Thanks, Sarah. That's right. There's a full week of sports to cover, and we're going to start right away with men's basketball in Minnesota on Tuesday. Spartans were coming off of a 63-54 victory at home against Maryland and sat near the top of the Big Ten standings. The game started with a three-pointer from who else but Tyson Walker, who's still on that double-digit point streak that's up to 34 straight games. The first half went back and forth from there, with each team making a run of their own. But the buzzer would sound with the Spartans up 32-27. Michigan State came out of the break hot, going up by 9 points 5 minutes in. Minnesota would chip away at that lead, though, and the game would be tied with 3 minutes left. Led by Cam Christie's 19 points, the final Minnesota surge would be too much for the Spartans, and the Golden Gophers would win a tight one, 59-56. Spartans will be back home tomorrow to take on the 10th-ranked Fighting Illini to try to get back on track and above 500 in the Big Ten. On the women's side, the Spartans played the 2 games this week. First, a 76-65 home win against Minnesota, and then traveling to Bloomington to face the Hoosiers. Both teams started the game shooting well as a Tori Osment 3 left the Spartans up 18-14 halfway through the first quarter. Michigan State would end the quarter shooting an impressive 70% from the field. In the second quarter, Julia Arol added on to the 10 points she had in the first quarter with another Spartan triple, which had them going into the locker room with the 53-43 lead. The first 53 points are the most Spartans have had against a conference opponent this season. Both teams cooled down in the third, but Indiana's Mackenzie Holmes made the difference, starting a 7-0 run from the Hoosiers, which got them back. They outscored the Spartans 23-15 in the third quarter, which had their lead down to 2 heading into the fourth. The Hoosiers would continue to claw their way back as Sarah Scalia would give IU the lead 77-76 with 6:11 left in the game. A late steal and basket would tie the game for the Spartans, but Indiana would finish their late push with a final score of 94-91. Spartans are moved to 17-6 on the season and face number 5 Ohio State at home on Sunday. Michigan State hockey went back on the road to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in a tough conference series in South Bend this past weekend. Saturday's game started similarly to Game 1 of the series, with the Spartans relying on their gold medal goaltender to make some key saves. The game went back and forth until Garson Dorwart was able to get the Spartans on the board with his 11th goal on the year. Now in the second period, senior Jeremy Davis nets a beautiful wraparound goal to extend the Spartan lead to 2, which had the Spartan faithful on their feet and buzzing in South Bend. And with just 4 seconds left in the second period, Artem Levshinov snuck another one past Ryan Bischel for his 8th goal of the season, which left the Spartans with a 3-0 lead to end the second period. And for good measure, Gavin O'Connell put one on net, which was tipped in by Red Savage for a fourth Spartans goal. Michigan State would walk away with the shutout win, 4-0, and Trey Augustine leads Big Ten goalies with 3 shutouts. Michigan State has also set a new program record for conference wins with 12. That's all for this week's sports. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jenna. Despite facing hardships like the COVID-19 pandemic, the flood that coined the term the once-in-a-100-year flood, a Lansing restaurant called Green Dot Stables, is set to reopen.
It's been challenging for Christine and Jack Driscoll.
We kind of had to start all over again in February of 2018, and it was like a slow progression of reconstructing the inside and then reopening.
Just a couple months after opening their dream in 2017, it turned into a nightmare.
Our contractor sent us a picture of himself in a boat outside our front door because that's how deep the water was.
The Red Cedar River flooded, left its banks, and ruined their restaurant called the Green Dot. Then, 2 years later, a pandemic shut them down.
Jack and Christine called it quits after that and closed it. But for some reason, they couldn't stay away. And now they're bringing it back.
Like, this used to be Sparty's back in the day, and then it was Whiskey Barrel. When he saw it for sale, he was like, that building would make the perfect Green Dot.
It means a lot to Christine. After all, she was on track to become a nurse.
I left my PhD program in nursing, which my parents wanted to kill me.
It's not even open yet, and folks drop by to see what's happening.
We're actually next door having a bite to eat for lunch, and we were telling my nephew, like, oh, Vinny, there's the junction there. You know, we've been there a few times.
There's a lot of history here.
That's where your dad's band performs, and on Friday nights, and we go out and dance and have fun.
The Driscolls have a calling here. They want locals to remember what the Green Dot was all about.
I want people to know that they can expect the great quality and service from Green Dot, but they'll still be able to get that good party time life.
They're ready to try this again, to keep disaster off the menu, to enjoy the Red Cedar River at a distance, and bring back the Green Dot to Lansing. I'm Megan Samp, Focal Point News.
Green Dot is set to open in mid-February. I think it's time we make an appearance, Callie.
Yeah, me too.
You can be sure to follow more of their journey on their social media at Green Dot Stables, Lansing.
Hey Sarah, have you been over to Crunchies recently?
No, I haven't. What's been going on?
Well, instead of karaoke or comedy this past Tuesday, a certain spectacular celebrity was in town, and he was sending East Lansing into a fangirl heartthrob. Is the pack
Tuesday nights at Crunchies restaurant are usually busy, but not quite like this.
No.
I honestly thought it was fake.
Then again, it's not every day that a Hollywood heartthrob visits East Lansing. Miles Teller has made his way here on the road, touring Michigan, promoting not a new movie,
but a drink. He's here to spread the wings of this Finnish seltzer that dates back to the 1950s called the Long Drink. Teller has traveled miles to be here in Spartan territory today.
But there is a line wrapped around the whole building. Yeah. I'm here to see Miles Teller. It's gonna be great.
MSU student Holly wouldn't miss this chance. Her and her friends have seen all of his movies.
We brought a few things for him to sign, like 2 Frisbees, a long drink box for our long drink wall, and obviously the guitar.
Same goes for superfan and MSU student Addison, whose favorite Miles Teller movie seems to be a trend around here.
Oh my god, he's literally my celebrity crush, favorite actor of all time.
Huge fans. Whiplash is my favorite Miles Teller movie.
Whiplash, the movie changed my life, single-handedly made me go buy a drum set, so...
Though today, he wasn't pounding on the drums, but hawking drinks. Teller is part owner of this brand of alcohol called the Finnish Long Drink.
Hi, what's going on? Sophie, what's up?
It was like an afternoon summer party. Miles even stepped outside since fans were spilling onto the patio too. Lots of fans came to see him, but he really isn't a Michigan State fan. Well, until today.
I mean, I was raised a Notre Dame fan, but I'll say Michigan State.
He's loyal to the Irish shade of green, but enjoyed the Spartan variety on this afternoon.
Yeah, sure, go green.
He even left us with a shout out.
MSU Focal Point, hard-hitting news.
Hey, did you hear that? He actually gave Focal Point a shout out. Here from Miles, went to Ann Arbor, and then he was in Grand Rapids the day before, and most likely he'll be finding his way to a warmer climate later this week.
That was super sweet. I really wish I could have been there.
Yeah, me too. Teller's visit made for an exciting afternoon in East Lansing. Thank you, Jess and Campbell, for taking Focal Point along for the ride.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of Focal Point. I'm Sarah Polis.
And I'm Callie Neese. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.